Hi folks, before we get into tonight's show, I wanted to share a couple of things with you. First of all, some extraordinary developments have happened in the Trek world, and I'm sure most of you are aware by now that the Galileo 7, the original filming prop from the 1960s television series, has not only been uncovered, but it's been auctioned and it's been purchased by a group of folks who are restoring this ship to its original beauty. I'm terribly excited about this because this is one of my favorite spaceships. I'm sure it is for you too. But before I continued, I did want to mention a few names, people I use for web resources, and there's some extraordinary artists and historians out there. First of all, TAURUS very cool website. The Federation, which is basically the International Federation of Trekkers, TrekCore.com, Phil Broad, who I'm a huge fan of, the Cloudster, Four Mad Men, a group of digital artists I've come across recently who've done some amazing work on the Galileo, and of course GalileoRestoration.com. So with that, it's time to tell this amazing tale. This ship has not only traveled through space, but through time. It's an amazing journey that I want to share with you. So, Backlot Spaceport tonight, the Galileo 7. Hi folks, and welcome to TAURUS 2, a planet situated right smack dab in the middle of the garden spot of the universe, Murasaki 312, a big green glowing quasar right out in the middle of nowhere. You may be asking yourself, what the heck are we doing here? Well, this is a very important planet, an important setting to the original series of Star Trek. That's right, this is the planet where the Galileo 7 shuttlecraft crashed. You remember that very famous episode where Spock, having his first command, has a crew depending on him to make the life and death decisions. Without that aside, you've got this giant creature throwing boulders at the ship, an inhospitable atmosphere. This was a pretty cool episode. But the most important thing is the shuttlecraft. We're going to have a chance to explore that beautiful spacecraft. Now, why am I armed? Well, true, this has all been recreated on Stage 9 here at Sci-Fi Pick Studios. So keep in mind, this is just a TV show. There's nothing to be afraid of, folks. But I'm going to hang on to this nevertheless. I mean, you never know. It is a pretty vicious-looking planet. Come with me. Yep. Purple rocks, green sky. This is good stuff. But we're still not to the shuttlecraft. The shuttlecraft is in a clearing not far from here. Now, what's that sound? It sounds like wood scraping on some sort of a lever. Hey! Trusty old phaser. I probably scared these things off. Anyway, I think I see the shuttle from here. Let's go. That's right, here we are, the Galileo 7. Now, before we proceed, folks, let me explain a couple of things. First of all, there's some drama unfolding in that shuttle right now. Spock is talking to his crew, and they're deciding how they're going to fix the ship and try to get back to the Enterprise. A lot of stuff going on. Very soon, some life and death decisions will be made. So we don't want to interrupt the drama, but we do want to tour the ship. So if you don't mind, we're going to have to do this sort of stealthily. Now, when I say stealthily, I mean, we're probably going to have to go inside the walls. You know, just try not to make any noise. It's the only way I can get in there without interrupting the plot of the show. So, again, come with me. Oh, look at this. All sorts of cool stuff up there. I see the repair work has already begun. We certainly don't want to interrupt that and change history. So, let's go.
The pressure's dropping. We're losing everything. What happened? One of the lines gave. The strain had coming through the atmosphere and the added load, and we tried to bypass.
Oops, I think I just pulled a wire out. I hope that wasn't important.
Yeah, that's done it. We have no fuel.
Whoops. Just a few minutes, folks. The creature's about to attack the camp. That'll give us the distraction we need and get these people out of here when we finish touring the ship.
Something's happening outside.
Finally, I thought they'd never leave. It's been around a long time. Since its inception from the AMT Model Company in the 60s, the Galileo's had quite a journey. It's been turned over a bunch of times to a lot of different owners. It's been a long journey to get it back to its pristine condition. That's right. The Galileo 7. Definitely a piece of television history. And speaking of history, I think a little history lesson might just be appropriate right now. Designer Matt Jeffries was looking for a unique vision in 23rd century compact transportation. At first, this extremely organic design was considered, but proved to be far too expensive to build. Then a much more linear design was decided on. Over at AMT, Gene Winfield got involved. Now this is interesting. The AMT Model Company not only designed the exterior, but also the interior set for live-action photography. The idea is they would trade the work for model kit licensing. Sometimes in budgetary restraints, I think it brings out the best in artists. What a beautiful design. And Mr. Winfield over at AMT began construction. He decided on a metal frame with plywood trim. The warp engines, or the pods, can be detached so that the shuttle can be transported easily to and from the studio. And finally, the Galileo 7, a prop that withstood the test of time. Well, folks, a special treat on the show today. This is the actual model kit produced by the AMT Model Company. Now, curiously enough, the model kit is really not that accurate, and you would think, since AMT actually designed the prop for the TV show, that the design and model departments would have communicated and made a more accurate version. But hey, it still looks good in the box. This is my favorite seat in the spaceship. That's right. You may be asking yourself, why do I like this position so much? Well, it's very simple for several reasons. First of all, if there's a grave danger approaching the shuttle, you're in the back of the ship. You'll be the last person it touches. Second of all, if Spock decides to spin around and ask the crew some sort of complicated scientific question, well, kind of like when you were in high school, if you're in the back of the classroom, maybe the teacher won't see you and you won't be asked. But the third thing, and the most important thing, this is where the famous phaser drawer is located. If you open the drawer, the phasers are lined up. How cool is this? The only problem here is if you got a hijacker on board, he's sitting in this chair, you're out of luck. The Galileo is chock full of very cool stuff. The main control panel is an entire bank of ignition, launch, and navigational controls. Very simple to operate. But the one thing I've never understood is the fuel jettison system. It's one button on the front control panel. Now there's no safety system at all. It's just one switch. What if you bumped that while reaching for a cup of coffee? That would be a disaster if you were in space.
Mr. Spock.
What happened?
He jettisoned the fuel and ignited it.
We need that fuel to maintain orbit. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah. What, are you out of your mind? Sorry. Two other things that are worth mentioning. This is pretty cool.
Up front in the bow of the ship, just on top of the main control system, are two hand scanners, two spheres that are retracted from the walls, and you take them and you slowly rotate them, and what that does is that narrows the focus of your scan. Now, of course, that draws attention to the next coolest thing. That's right, retractable window shades.
You see these little computer panels? There's one, sometimes two, placed behind every chair throughout the shuttle. Now, you start asking yourself, this is a pretty sophisticated ship, so what do all these things do? Probably some of them register atmospheric conditions. Some of them are probably science computers for things going on outside the ship. But you know, with the little blinky patterns, my theory is very simple. I think this is the 23rd century's answer to Tetris. This is something that just keeps the passengers occupied, because let's face it, on a long journey, do you really want to sit there and talk to Spock for several days? No. This is probably pretty cool. The only thing missing is, how come there's no DVD players on the backs of these chairs? Well, at this point, I had planned to give you a quick tour of the engine section, but I'll be honest with you, I have no idea how this stuff works. But the good thing about this bulkhead is there's an emergency egress hatch. I guess that's where you do maintenance in and out of the ship when you're in the hangar decks. We'll use that to get out of here. This will give these people a chance to get back to the Enterprise. One more thing before I go, I almost forgot. As most of you may realize, the Galileo was actually destroyed in second season of the original Star Trek television series. But it returned in third season as the Galileo 2. Now, I've always been curious about this. There is only two possibilities here. Captain Kirk absolutely loved this ship and didn't want to lose it, or the art department just did not want to try to repaint this font into another word. Well, it looks like they got off okay. Ooh, poor Mr. Gaetano. I think you got the point. Well, the sad thing is if Gaetano, Latimer, and Spock and Poma had only gone a little further in this direction and off to the left, they would have found the exit door to the studio, and none of this would have been a problem. And that's where I'm heading right now. Thanks for joining us on another episode, folks. We'll see you next time on Backlot Spaceport.